Hello, and thank you for joining us for the 5th episode of the Freaky Fauna Files podcast.
Whoop.
We're your hosts,
The chicken.
and the egg, where we still don't know who comes first.
Hi, I'm the chicken, and we're going to be doing things a little differently today. Every 5th episode, instead of discussing fauna found in a particular region or that have a particular adaptation, we will be doing a Q&A session. We pulled our favorite questions submitted by our listeners, and we will be answering them for you today.
As always, check out our website and Instagram for more information, as well as photos and links that we reference in today's podcast. Don't forget to email us your burning questions for the next Q&A we do at info@freakyfaunafiles.com, or you can DM us on Instagram at freakyfaunafiles. Let's get started.
All right. So I'm going to kick it off today, and the first question that I'm going to answer is actually a current event that is happening right now. So this one says that I am interested in the stingray that was on the news. She is pregnant with no males in the tank, only sharks. What do you think? So for those who do not know about this, there has been a female round stingray named Charlotte, and she's chilling in a tank in the North Carolina aquarium, and she has been found to be carrying 3 to 4 pups.
Oh.
Yeah, so originally they thought it was a tumor, and so they ended up doing an ultrasound. I know, they thought it was cancer. So they ended up doing an ultrasound, and it turned out that she was pregnant. The freaky thing about this is that there are no male stingrays sharing the tank with her.
How could that be?
Yeah, right? So there are 2 main theories as to how this has happened. Number 1 is that although there are no male rays in the tank, there are 2 young male sharks, about a year old, living with the now pregnant ray. So the female ray was also found to have shark bites on her back, which is typical for shark mating.
Ew.
Like when sharks typically mate with each other, they'll like grasp onto each other by biting. That's part of the reason why their skin is so tough. So Charlotte ended up actually having these marks. So
Is it typical for sharks and rays to mate? Or do you know?
no.
Okay, I was just
so
wondering
it's definitely not typical for them to mate. And that's actually what I was about to get into, because it's like, could it be fighting? Could it be attempted mating? No one's quite sure. And scientists are definitely dubious about this theory just because of how distantly related the 2 creatures actually are.
Distant related? I mean,
They
aren't
are.
they both elasmobranch?
They are,
You
but
mean,
they're
like,
still...
distantly enough related?
Yes,
Okay.
distantly enough related.
Is it going to be a viable pup? Do we know? I guess we just got to wait till it's birthed.
So that's just one of the theories, yeah. So some people are like really excited. They're kind of hoping that it's a shark in the ray, and I am also kind of hoping that it's a shark in the ray, because
That
who
would be
knows?
crazy.
Who knows what we can see? Who knows what type of creature is going to come out of that?
Be a shrey or a rark?
A rark? I think I like that one a little bit more. So that's one theory. Another theory, and the more likely theory, is that the female ray, Charlotte, underwent parthenogenesis.
Whoa.
I know,
big word.
I know, exactly. My next thing is, what is parthenogenesis, other than a big sciencey word?
True.
So in a nutshell, parthenogenesis is a type of asexual, meaning without sex, reproduction in which an egg develops into an embryo without being fertilized by sperm.
What? How does that happen?
So essentially she just does it by herself.
She just clones herself?
Yeah. In
We'll have
fact,
3 or 4 Charlottes?
yes,
Oh,
yeah.
my God.
So to break it down, the term itself is derived from the Greek words for virgin birth. So we've literally got ourselves a stingray Virgin Mary.
Oh
Yes,
my God. Virgin
yes.
Charlotte?
Yes, Virgin Charlotte. And this type of reproduction is not at all uncommon, and we can see it in plants, algae, other invertebrates, including like some tardigrades, scorpions, and bees, and a few vertebrates, including fish, amphibians, reptiles, and birds. So it's not super uncommon, especially in the marine world.
But is it common to raise?
That is not.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's common in some sharks, but not a ton of rays have been known to do this. So with the offspring of parthenogenesis, you touched on it a second ago, they can either be full clones of their parent or half clones. And this depends on what specific type they undergo. And yes, there are different types of parthenogenesis because biology, but I'm not going to get into it too much here because I think it would actually be cool to do an episode a little bit on parthenogenesis.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, if we do like reproduction tactics or something like that, I think it'd be very cool. So that about ties up this question. And really, what do I think? I think that it is likely parthenogenesis, but I hope that it could be a shark and a ray. I hope we get a rark, or what was the first one you said? A shray?
Shray, yeah.
Shray?
To be devil's advocate, then I will say I hope it's a shray or a rark.
Okay. All right. That's what you're thinking?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. Nice.
Question number 2. Do all eels sting or electrocute you, or is that just what cartoons portray? Do you have a guess before I answer this question?
I know. I feel like that's unfair.
Okay, fine. There are 2 different types of eels, actually. There's a true eel and an electric eel.
Ooh.
And just as the name suggests, only electric eels can shock you. So true eels are eels. Eel is a type of, a species, right? An electric eel is not an eel at all, but rather an evolved knife fish.
Oh.
They are more closely related to carp and catfish than they are an actual eel.
I vaguely remember that from taking like
I did not know that.
ichthyology.
So they're just really modified catfish. Isn't that cool?
That is really cool, actually.
And contrary to eels, they breathe air, so they have to rise to the surface every 10 minutes.
Awesome.
Isn't that cool?
Do the knife fish and stuff, if you know by chance?
Knifefish, I don't know. I know that carp and catfish obviously breathe water,
yes.
But I don't know about knifefish. So electric eels have 3 organs that are dedicated to producing the electricity, and inside those organs are called electrocytes, which are cells that act as a battery and produce and store electricity. They utilize what's called a voltage-gated sodium channel, which requires a tiny bit of electricity to open the channel inside your cell to allow sodium ions to flow through. So humans have these cells in our neurons, and we use the electricity produced by brain activity to activate them. And it basically just allows salt flow like potassium, calcium, and ions to flow from one place to another.
Oh, cool.
We don't have nearly as many of as eels do. They use up to like thousands of electrocytes at a time.
Holy shit, thousands?
Thousands.
Whoa.
To produce enough electricity to stun or fully electrocute their prey. So they do it at much higher frequency. They stack the electricity from, like I said, thousands of channels. And they can choose the amount of voltage. So they can either stun them if it's a small prey. You don't just completely fry the poor guy. Or if it's a larger prey, they'll straight up electrocute it and it'll most likely kill it.
It would definitely up its voltage, say like if we were near it.
Yeah.
Or something like that. And it was like, oop, predator, and it's boop.
Yeah. Luckily, they're more nocturnal. And if they are awake in the day, they hide in crevices. So they don't typically come out and bother humans or divers, anything. So
yeah, I don't think I've ever seen one.
The cartoons definitely portray them as, something to be afraid of, like predators, but it's not really anything you're ever going to run across because they're not messing with you.
Yeah, I feel like most of the time when I'm seeing an eel, they're always going to be tucked in a crevice. And it really is only at night that you'll see them. And even then, they'll go away from you. Like, you are not going to be able to get close to them. And if you do get close to them, you're going to, I was about to say, you're going to lose.
on you.
You could lose a finger. I've heard about somebody doing that.
Bite.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. This moray eel ended up taking off this girl's finger whenever it got a little too close. And she didn't even see it. Yeah, I know. It just came out of the crevice.
For no reason.
I know. And it's not even because she was being careless.
Right?
Like, it just came out of nowhere and was like...
So, to answer your question, all eels cannot sting, only a specific species of electric eels.
Cool. For my next question, we have, what is the deadliest specific animal, i.e. a singular animal that has killed the most people? And so they're not looking for a type of animal, but a specific animal.
My guess is a spider or snake.
Okay. All right. Good. I think when I first read this, I thought it was a lion, but that's just because I had listened to a few.
I did not expand my boundaries to...
Do you want to guess again?
No, I'll keep it.
Is it the emu? During the war?
Deadly. I don't know, man. We don't have those numbers.
I know. Okay, well, there are many different animals and groups of animals that have claimed the lives of a plethora of humans. However, this question is specifically asking which individual is responsible for the most deaths, and that is where we introduce the Champawat tiger.
Oh, tiger.
Ring a bell?
Okay. No. Tiger makes sense.
Yeah, tiger does make sense because they are sneaky-ass predators. Mm-hmm. And before I start talking about this specific tiger, I do want to point out that the majority of tigers aren't actually out there seeking humans as their meal. They tend to only attack, like most big game, when they are threatened or mistake you for something else. And they actually have to switch their diets to like a man-eating diet. Like once they go towards man-eating, they don't go back. And injury plays a huge role in them switching to humans as well because they can't catch their normal prey.
Oh. Mm-hmm. Are we just really easy prey?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So, thought to be born around 1896, this female Bengal tiger would soon become the Guinness World Record holder for the most fatalities, claiming the lives of 436 people.
Guinness really gave her
a medal? Plaque? Yes. I looked it up on the Guinness website. Okay. You can too. You can fact check this one.
Fact check.
But yeah, it has the most fatalities, the most human fatalities, like a singular animal. But yeah, she claimed the lives of 436 people in India before eventually being shot by Colonel Jim Corbett in 1907.
Yikes.
So her reign was short, but it was deadly.
It was.
It was very deadly.
That's a lot of people.
I know. I can't even imagine. I was looking up some other ones just to see if it wasn't the tiger, just to like see if anything has changed. And no, all the numbers I was getting were like 40, 60, like under 100. There were a couple that were close. Like there have been prides of lions and pairs of animals that have gone after. But for individual, the Champawat tiger takes the cake.
Jeez.
Takes the cake easy.
400 is a lot.
I know, 436. And she did this mainly because of the loss of habitat, loss of prey, and, I said it earlier, injury.
Go off, queen.
Mm-hmm. She was mad. She was pissy. So she had shattered her upper and lower right canines.
Oh, no.
Think about how important that is
upper
for...
and lower right canine. Oh, she's missing like half her...
Yes. Yeah, she cannot function nearly as well as she normally would.
Okay, but on her behalf, what else she's supposed to do? Like you said, humans are easy prey.
I agree.
She's that down bad.
I agree completely, actually. Because what else is she going to do? And we're partially at fault for like the loss of some of that stuff. So anyways, we won't get too much into that.
Defending a bloody, ruthless
tiger. A murder. Yeah. But the Champawat tigress was forced to look somewhere else for survival because of these things. And unfortunately, as we touched on, humans are very easy prey, and she began entering villages and straight up taking people from their huts.
That's horrifying.
Yeah, she would just walk in and like drag a person from their home as other people are like panicking and
just
running.
Buffet style, man.
Yes, yeah. You couldn't do anything to stop it. People would go and hunt for her, and they just couldn't find her. Like she ended up evading everybody, essentially. And it was so bad that she became like an absolute demon, and the army even got involved.
Well, 400 people later, I would hope they would.
Yeah. And it wasn't until the tragic death of this 16-year-old girl that Jim Corbett actually got involved. And Jim Corbett, he was a really good hunter. So he had like trained in the bush. He was known for mimicking like jaguar calls and everything, like to a T, to where we like send shivers down your spine type of deal. So he knew what he was doing, and he went out there and he was actually able to finally end the reign of the Champawat tiger. And he actually is on record saying that he was really sad about this. Like he kind of bonded with the tigress as he was hunting her. Because you're kind of tracking an animal. You get this connection with them. You're trying to think like them. You're trying to find them. So he eventually became a really well-known conservationist for tigers. Yeah, specifically.
Okay, so she had a positive outcome for her murderous rampage.
Yeah, take nearly 450 people out and you get a Guinness World Record and and a really good conservationist out of it.
Wow, look at that. That's all it took.
Yeah. But you can actually find pictures of the tiger's head on display. I actually have a picture and we can post one. That answers the question. The deadliest specific animal is going to be the Champawat tiger. And horrifying.
Truly.
Horrifying.
Wow.
Yes.
I was wrong. It's not a spider or a snake.
No, but I bet they're up there. I'm sure.
All right. Next question. How many hours a day do koalas and sloths sleep?
Oh, good question.
Thank you. Koalas sleep 18 to 22 hours a day, and it's believed they sleep so much because of the lack of nutrition that they receive from eating a strictly leaf-based diet.
Well, I want the first part of that. I don't want the second part.
18 to 22 hours?
Yes, I don't want the low nutrition, but I do want to be able to sleep for 18 to 22 hours. That would be heavenly.
So they eat, like I said, leaves, and more specifically eucalyptus leaves. And it takes an immense amount of energy to break down eucalyptus because they're actually toxic to a lot of organisms, including us, especially dogs, too.
Which is crazy because I have eucalyptus oil in literally everything I own.
Yeah,
I feel like
oil,
it's such
lotions,
a good
candle. You can put it in your shower for like a steam thing.
Yeah. The people have been doing that. They've been like hanging
Delicious.
actual eucalyptus plants like in their showers. I've thought about doing that.
I have too.
I have
Seems
too.
nice.
Yeah.
So just don't eat it.
Yeah, that's. I guess it's only
a really
toxic.
readily available leaf, especially in Australia. So somebody had to evolve to eat it. So the reason that koalas sleep so much is that they need to conserve as much energy as possible by sleeping to break down eucalyptus and get as much nutrition as possible from this diet. So they have a very slow metabolism rate, and it allows them to absorb as much as the little nutrition that is available. A lot of organisms, including us, especially mammals, have an organ called a cecum, which its purpose is to absorb water, and it houses bacteria that is used to break down food. It's found at the beginning of your intestines. Our cecum is 2 inches or 6 centimeters wide, while the koala's is 6.5 feet.
Oh, what the fuck?
Yeah, or 200 centimeters long. And it coils up just like your intestines. So ours is like a little bean chilling somewhere, and theirs is basically a whole nother set of intestines that's 6.5 feet long.
How does that fit in a little body? So, like, they also have intestines?
Yes, they also have, well, the intestines are shorter because there's not much more work that needs to be done.
I guess
after
it's
your
all
cecum.
done. Yeah, it's all done in the cecum.
Yeah, yeah. So this specialized organ allows for koalas to absorb as much nutrition as these leaves can offer. And fun fact, baby koalas must eat the feces of their mom to ingest the bacteria needed to break down this eucalyptus leaf.
Oh, shit. I love how you brought that up because that's going to correlate in just a second.
Okay. So, yeah, they can't naturally eat the leaves unless that bacteria is introduced. So a baby koala will eat the poop of its mom in order to get that ability. The second half of the question was about sloths. So, contrary to popular belief, sloths only sleep about 10 to 15 hours a day.
Really?
Which is honestly just like your average teenager, right?
Yeah.
And the other 10 to 15 hours of the day, they are slowly moving throughout the canopy to find food. They also have a slow metabolism and are actually completely colorblind. They suffer from a rare genetic mutation called rod monochromacy, which says that they are unable to see color as well as basically any visuals in bright light. So they are only active in the morning and at night, or even, late into the night, because they're completely blind in full bright light conditions.
Poor babies.
So they sleep throughout the day because they can't freaking see.
That makes sense. I've actually held a sloth before. I did
how
it
was
in
it?
Roatan.
Was
and
it soft or rough?
It was like wiry.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah,
Like a
it was pretty wiry,
dog.
but it felt amazing. Yeah, it felt very amazing.
So yeah, they sleep most of the day because they need to conserve their energy in order to digest the food, because they also have a leaf-based diet. They also eat some fruits and flowers, but not a lot of nutrition can be found from just eating leaves. So they move slowly, mostly because they can't freaking see, and they don't have a lot of energy to begin with. They actually have a 4-chambered stomach, which churns incredibly slowly, again, to try and absorb as much nutrition as possible. And they actually don't eat much in volume day to day because their stomachs are so slow to process. So they're most likely full from the previous meal. So they really don't do anything. They don't eat. They don't move.
They just hang out.
They
just hang out. They're just there.
They just there.
They are just there. Well, thank you for that one.
Absolutely.
Cool. My next question is it true that koalas can't digest eucalyptus unless they eat their mother's fecal matter to get the bacteria?
Okay. Tell me more.
All right. So Egg touched on this a second ago when discussing how many hours a day koalas and sloths sleep, but I want to talk about this part a little bit more. So not many people know or understand the importance of the gut microbiome in all animals. Like, it is crucial. The bacteria that thrive in our bellies can dictate almost everything, including a lot of different functions. In humans, like, we're seeing this trend of fecal transplant in order to correct a lot of our bellies.
You know, I've actually thought about your comment. Remember how we said that kangaroos can turn their methane gas into energy and cows just cannot?
Oh, yeah.
I think about that all the time, that you said fecal transplant, and I was like, bro, are we the first ones to think? Obviously not, but like,
I bet if
somebody done that.
Yeah, why has somebody tried? Especially if it is so similar, right? You would be able to do it. I know South Park made an episode making fun of the fecal transplant too. They like...
It's a gross concept.
Oh, yeah. It's... And the way that they did it was so gross too. Highly recommend. So we're starting to see fecal transplants more. So the gut microbiome, very, very important. And the fecal transplants is kind of funny because that's essentially what is happening with the joey koalas or the baby koalas in this situation.
Yummy.
As you mentioned, koalas are specialist herbivores feeding primarily on the eucalyptus leaves. These leaves are very fibrous, low in nutrition, which makes sense why they sleep all the time, and poisonous to most animals. So koalas have had to develop that metabolism and this crazy gut microbiome. As a joey, very similar to as a human baby, their gut microbiomes are non-existent. They're not there. They got to start over from scratch, right? And they need assistance in developing, and this is where mom comes in. Typically, koala poop is hard on the outside and green due to their diets. That makes sense, right? I wonder if it smells like eucalyptus.
Oh, God.
I wonder.
I don't want to find out.
If someone knows, tell me. Otherwise, it's going to be my whole goal to find it. But anyways, when a mama needs to help her joey, her poop will actually shift. I didn't think that we would talk about poop on this podcast, but here we are.
What do you mean?
Yeah, shift. So it'll actually change. Rather than becoming solid, her poop becomes creamy and extra wet. This I had to take advantage of it. This type of feces is known as pap, and it's extremely crucial for the joey survival because pap contains special bacteria like Bacteroides fragilis and special proteins that help improve the joey's liver. Imagine taking a probiotic. That is essentially what's happening.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Taking a probiotic, drinking a nice kombucha.
There's way better methods than eating your mom's creamy poop.
Well, apparently not for them. Not for them.
They don't have little daily...
But if they made it into like a little... No, never mind. Okay. Anyways, the pap acts as a probiotic, and by a year old, just a year, the joey's gut microbiome will be that of its mother's.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So that dives into the fecal matter a little bit more. Okay. See what I did there?
I did.
Okay, good.
Good.
Fantastic. On to the next one.
All right. My favorite follower is from Houston, and they submitted a question. This one is also a little bit of a current event as well as relative to where we are right now. So they asked what kind of turtles were born and hatched in Galveston Island, and why don't they spend time with their mothers? Great question. In May 2022, and again in June 2023, the Kemp Ridley's turtle chose Galveston Island as their nesting place.
Hell yeah.
Galveston Island is south of Houston, Texas, just for reference. Typically, turtles return to the same beach that they were born on to lay their nest, so that suggests that these Kemp Ridleys themselves may have hatched on Galveston Island, and that's why they chose this to have their nest. So, newly hatched turtles often, quote, rush to the sea after birth.
Oh, yeah, I've seen videos of that.
It's practically every man for himself. Because
and it's a buffet for all the other animals.
I mean, I feel kind of bad. They
I
are
do too.
prey. I mean, they're tiny, they're vulnerable, they have no means to defend themselves. So they are often hunted by birds, scavengers, crabs, raccoons, dogs, etc. Only about 1 out of every 1,000 baby sea turtle survive into adulthood.
Well, no wonder they lay so many.
Yeah. So, in all, a sea turtle lays about 100 eggs per nest with the hopes that one will make it. And there's no parental care in order to help them survive better. So that kind of sounds counterintuitive. No. So the mom will dig a nest, lay their eggs, and cover it up with sand. So they're supposed to be, not necessarily out in the open. And they will never return to the shore to check on their babies or anything until they're ready to lay another nest.
Oh, it's kind of like the horned lizard and how they lay their eggs. They just kind of dip afterwards.
Yeah. They dig a nice little hole for like a few hours.
For a few fucking hours. Goddamn.
So the turtle relies on the warmth of the sand in order to incubate them, and they hatch a few weeks to a few months later. One reason the mother does not stay with the nest is because it would attract a lot of attention, and it would be way more obvious that there's a nest there if a giant 3-foot, 4-foot turtle is just sitting on top of it. Right?
Yes, yeah, 100%.
Turtles do not really have a means to protect themselves or the nest unless they're just, biting with their beaks.
Even though a full-grown turtle doesn't really have a lot of natural predators.
No, they really don't.
On land and even in the ocean. I think one of the main ones are going to be the tiger sharks because their teeth are made for that.
So, I mean, if, maybe a coyote or a bird comes down trying to swoop it up, if the mom's there, it's going to tell you exactly where the nest is. And like I said, the turtle doesn't have any defense mechanisms. It's not going to, flip off its flippers. It's not fast enough to chase it off.
No, they're quite awkward.
Yes. So it would be better for the mom to dip and just hope that when the hatchlings are ready, that somebody will make it.
Just need one.
Yep. So the answer to your question, they were Kemp Ridley sea turtles. They came in 2022 and 2023, and they do not spend time with their mothers because it is actually kind of counter-efficient.
Yeah. I feel like that would waste a lot of energy, too, if they had just laid the eggs and then they have to, sit there.
Sit there for weeks, months. Yeah.
Like, they need to eat, too. They gotta do self-care.
Yeah. Then you gotta, go back in the ocean, find some jellyfish to munch on, then come back and hope nobody found your nest.
And start all over again. All over again. Cool. I have, what is the hottest/coldest environment in which a complex multicellular animal can survive? What temps and what type of animal? And the other question is, how about the story of tardigrades?
So is tardigrade the answer to your first question?
Well, I guess you'll just have to wait and find out. Okay. So this is definitely more of a vague question, right? Like, how about the story of tardigrades? But I do have one immediate thought that comes to mind. All right. Before I get into that, I want to give a little bit of a background of them. So tardigrades, they are known as water bears or moss piglets. And
moss piglets?
I know.
That's the cutest thing
I know. They are, and it matches. It matches how cute they are.
They're ridiculous.
They are a phylum of 8-legged, segmented microanimals that you can find just about anywhere. Literally anywhere. Go to your nearest body of water, take a sample, throw it under a microscope, and you are likely to see one of these incredibly cute little moss piglets.
can't.
They look like a miniature naked mole rat.
Oh my god, they do.
Yes, like from Kim Possible, Ron's naked mole rat.
Naked mole rat.
Naked mole rat. So they are very cute. They look very weird, and they are very, very tiny. They're super interesting, and we honestly could do a whole episode on them for now, but I'm just going to keep it sweet. The coolest thing about the water bear, in my opinion, is the fact that they are almost immortal.
Huh.
Almost. Yeah, almost. They can withstand crazy extreme conditions from really hot to really cold to really toxic to really anything. It can survive temperatures from negative 272 degrees Celsius.
Whoa.
Yeah, 1 degree Celsius above absolute zero.
In the world gets that cold? Where?
I feel like Antarctica. I have no idea where it gets that cold. All I know is
Maybe
that
space, because that's ridiculous. I don't think Antarctica can get...
I don't know. I hope not. Either way, I'm never going to a place that is that cold. Okay. But anyways, it goes from that cold to 151 degrees Celsius.
Jeez.
They can withstand vacuum conditions, imposing extreme dehydration.
I saw they sent them to space.
Yes. Yes. We'll get into that.
Oh, sorry. Getting ahead of myself.
You got a little ahead. That's okay. But they can also withstand a pressure of 6,000 atmospheres, as well as exposure to X-rays and gamma rays.
They're just doing anything they can to kill
whatever.
These little boys.
Yeah, anything. Yeah, imagine the tests that they had.
They just blast little
How
man
did
with
they
a
know?
torch
How did they know?
Wow,
it's either they put the tardigrade in these conditions in a lab, or they are finding them in these places, which
that cold of temperature.
There's
has
no
to
way.
Be lab
Yeah, it has to be. Yeah. Scientists believe that they could even survive astrophysical mass extinction events. I mean, they've survived 5 extinction events already, but this includes meteorite impacts.
I can see it.
Yeah, so if you believe that dinosaurs were hit by meteorites, because some people don't.
I have mixed feelings.
What do you believe on?
I think it was a meteor but I think it was the after effects that killed the dinosaurs.
I do too. I don't think it was the actual impact.
Yeah. I think the impact was probably
wiped out a good
small,
amount.
But compared to the surface of the earth.
Yeah, it was like a slow burnout with them.
Yeah.
I agree with that. Anyways. They truly are one of the most resilient animals known to date, and there's about 1,300 known species of them.
Wow.
So it's really, for a phylum, that's not a lot. But for basically immortal creatures, that is a good amount.
Aren't they in their own phylum? Like Tardigrada is the phylum?
Yes.
The only thing in it is tardigrades?
Yes. They are in their own phylum. How are they able to live in such a variety of environments when they are super small? And I mean 0.5 millimeters to 0.02 inches long. Very, very small. Well, they have this superpower called cryptobiosis.
Cool.
Cryptobiosis is a metabolic state that allows tardigrades and many other extremophilic organisms to survive intense conditions. During this time, all metabolic processes stop. Reproduction, development, repair, all of it. And there are 5 different types of cryptobiosis, 4 different conditions, and of course, our tardigrade fucking has all 5. All of them. Wow. Some animals, it's like 1 or 2. Tardigrade, all 5.
Wow.
They can do anything.
Somebody's got to have all 5.
Yeah, right? And it's a tardigrade. A tardigrade can reduce its metabolism and water content to less than 0.01% of what is normal. This allows them to stay locked down until conditions are better. So they can come out of this whenever they want. Like they go into extreme hibernation and then just decide to, all right, I'm done. The sun is out. Me, as we're getting into spring and summer, the seasonal depression washing away. So with that information in your back pocket, I can now get into how thousands of tardigrades ended up on our moon.
What?
Yeah, thousands.
Thousands?
That's right. Out of the 10 species that have ever landed on the moon, tardigrades are one of them. And when I pulled up a table for this, just out of curiosity, all the other numbers are 1.
Yeah, like...
So it's like 1. There was like 12. And I think they counted like potato and stuff in this. But then
not just animal species?
Yeah.
Like species?
Yeah, so it had like yeast. It had bacteria and everything else. One. Tardigrades, 1,000 plus. Like, we have no idea how many tardigrades are on the moon at this point.
Oh my god, what if they're just colonizing
I know,
the moon?
they're the first ones. How this happened is that back on April 11, 2019, an Israeli spacecraft, the Bereshit, crashed into the moon during a failed landing attempt. This craft was a small robotic lunar lander and lunar probe operated by SpaceIL and Israeli Aerospace Industries. Unfortunately, the lander gyroscopes failed, causing the main engine to shut off, resulting in the crash on the moon. So where did the water bears come into play? A time capsule.
What?
Yeah, another time capsule with live creatures.
Was there Texas horned lizard now?
No, but that would be fucking hilarious. The Bereshit contained a time capsule containing 30 million pages of data, including a full copy of the English Wikipedia, a wearable Rosetta disc, and I'm thinking that's like Rosetta Stone.
No way.
I think that is. Like, are you trying to teach them English? The Panlex database, the Torah, children's drawings / books.
Why?
I don't know. Memoirs of a Holocaust survivor, Israel's national anthem, their flag, their Declaration of Independence, and at last minute, they decided to throw in genetic samples and tardigrades.
What a random collection of things.
I know. And what's up with people throwing animals into time capsules last minute? They're like, oh, you know what? Fuck it.
You know what? You know what?
We're going to show them what we've got. Naturally, when the spacecraft crashed, much of the payload was lost. However, in 2019, scientists admitted that the capsule containing these tardigrades in the cryptobiotic state may have survived the crash and lived on the moon for a while.
Of course they survived.
For a while, right? Of course. How are they going to die? And they believed this because tardigrades had been exposed to the open vacuum of space on previous space missions, and some were able to survive for a certain period of time.
For sure they're on the moon.
I know, 100%. Granted, there's no real threat to them being on the moon because they are literally microorganisms.
What are they eating?
And realistically, they can't survive up there forever, right? Exactly. What are they eating? They thrive off of like algae and stuff. So,
moss.
But this whole thing ended up becoming a tardigrade affair, and many professionals were super quick to point out the lack of protection and regulation when it comes to planetary and international measures. So people were pissed about this. They were like, why the hell do you have all of these moss piglets on the moon? It's crazy. It's crazy.
That's hilarious.
I know. So
I hope they're doing well.
Yeah. So, yes, the tardigrade is the animal that can survive one of the hottest, coldest, most extreme environments you can think of. And that is the story I think of when I hear their name pop up. I just think about, oh yeah, they're up there.
Oh yeah, they're on the moon.
They're up there.
That's wild.
It was so funny.
All right, my next question is, do all jellyfish sting you, and are all of them deadly? Short answer, no, not all jellyfish can sting you, and most that can are non-lethal. The most deadly jellies in the world are the box jelly, also called the sea wasp, which is the most venomous in the world.
But very pretty. Mm-hmm. Beauty, it comes with cost.
Beauty's pain.
Beauty is pain.
The lion's mane, which is the world's longest jelly, it can reach 100 feet in tentacle length, which is about the length of a blue whale.
They're so pretty, too. Mm-hmm. The colors. Mm-hmm.
A sea nettle, and the Portuguese man-o'-war, which its body is an air-filled sac, and it floats along the surface of the water. So they're not, swimming in the water. They float.
I'm sure we'll cover the Portuguese man-o'-war at one point, because they're very weird, freaky fauna that we could talk about.
If you've ever been to an aquarium or a zoo, you've most likely seen the moon jelly, which is a see-through, gelatinous, pretty decent-sized jellyfish. They do not sting you, and they can actually be touched. If you're lucky enough, they might be in a touch tank, and you can just squish them around. Those that do sting possess what's called a cnidocyst, which has a nematocyst inside.
Whoa.
And a nematocyst is a coiled up harpoon-looking spring that executes the actual sting. So when something brushes up against the jelly, or it can be triggered by a change in the chemical signature, indicating that something might be near it, it will set the harpoon off.
So they just launch harpoons out of their tentacles?
Absolutely, yeah.
Love that.
This can be caused by a change in osmotic balance or the salt-to-water ratio. So if something were to swim by, that chemical signature might change, and they sting. If stung, the best remedy to relieve the pain of a sting is to pour vinegar on the sting or to soak it in seawater. And the seawater will imitate the natural conditions of the salt-to-water ratio that the nematocyst is used to. So, contrary to popular belief, do not urinate on a sting because it can reactivate the harpoon nematocyst in your skin all over again because of the high content of salt in urine.
I feel like I'm still going to tell people to pee on the jellyfish.
Yeah, so don't do that. It'll actually make it worse and can basically re-sting you because the osmotic change will notify the nematocyst, hey, something is nearby, let's sting him.
Yeah, it's all about denaturing the proteins whenever you are trying to help yourself whenever you have a sting.
Yeah, I guess that's what vinegar does.
Mm-hmm, yep.
Fun fact, nudibranchs, which are sea slugs,
oh, babies,
they can eat the tentacles of jellyfish and transfer the nematocyst to their own spikes. So
yes, they
have
can.
Harvested the nematocyst harpoons in their own spikes to sting you.
They are my absolute favorite, and you can 100% count on at least a full episode on nudibranchs. They are so awesome, like so much so that I have a tattoo of them on my left shoulder. Amazing that you brought them up. One day we'll do an episode on them.
So this coiled, pressurized harpoon called the nematocyst is being studied by physicians as a way to possibly deliver medicine to the body. It's like little microscopic syringes that can go in and, you know.
That would be better for the people who are afraid of needles and all of that. Make it a little easier.
So there you go. Not all jellyfish sting, and those that can are most likely non-deadly. There are only a few species that are deadly, so not something you really need to worry about. But keep in mind, don't pee on your jellyfish sting.
And I don't recommend going and just grabbing jellies willy-nilly, because you never know. Unless you absolutely know all of the jellies, just stay away.
If
just don't touch it.
Dead, washed up on the shore,
still
the
don't touch it.
nematocysts are still going to activate. So as long as there is a tentacle, there are active nematocysts.
Yeah, I 100% have been stung by like a floating tentacle while on a dive. It just, no jelly, just the tentacle.
Just somebody's ripped off tentacle. It'll still sting you.
Yes. Oh my gosh, it made me so angry that made me so angry. So my final question that I have is going to be, do you think that mermaids or sirens exist? And if not, what sea animal do you think they are mistaken for / evolved from? I think this is a good question. Yeah, it's giving me Kraken vibes for sure.
It's giving Ariel.
Oh, yes.
H2O mermaids.
So yeah, H2O. Oh my gosh, I watched that shit. What was it? Aquamarine? Wasn't that the other one?
Yes.
Personally, I would love it if mermaids and sirens existed, but not the mermaids that Disney portrays, but like the true mermaid, like the true menacing creatures that old lore talks about. Like I want them to have like, I want them to have like dagger teeth. I don't want them to have like Hollywood hair, you know, and just like shell bra. I don't want that. I want like seaweed as their hair. Like that's the type of mermaid.
Covered in scales.
Yes, and siren, I imagine. What if they're just like singing like heavy metal, like on the shore?
Who said they had to sing like beautiful hymns?
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
They could. Yeah, you don't know their taste in music. Unfortunately, it seems like we have another case like the Kraken on our hands, as it is believed that the dugong and the manatee were the inspirations behind the mermaids and sirens.
I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah, kind of, except they're not really pretty.
I don't know if you're.
I love a manatee.
Pirate.
Don't get me wrong. Yeah, I love a manatee. I love a dugong. But you're right. Ooh,
maybe somebody can mistake a handsome.
I didn't
manatee.
think about that.
If you're drunk, and you're in the ocean seasick.
Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And honestly, if alcohol is the beholder, then smash. This is hilarious to me, and I just can't possibly imagine how sailors conjured up all the stories we hear today, other than now the alcohol.
Obviously.
But it's like they go from these outrageously beautiful creatures that lured them to their deaths, but really they were big, blubberous sea mammals. Like literally all fat, all fat. The reason why many people believe the inspiration was due to dugongs and manatees is because they'll come up for air. They will sometimes even stand on their tails in shallow water. So that makes sense. Yeah, they're like, yeah. Their forelimbs contain 5 sets of finger-like bones, and they are able to turn their heads using their neck vertebrae. So they literally can stand out of their water, like belly up, and just kind of turn their head and watch the sailors as they come. So with that image in mind, I could see that. And
I can see that.
The finger-like bones, for sure. A funny thing about this is that Christopher Columbus, back on his first journey to the Americas, wrote down in his journey that, quote, on the previous day, January 8th, 1493, when the admiral went to the Rio del Oro, or Haiti, he said he quite distinctly saw 3 mermaids, which rose well out of the sea. But they are not so beautiful as they are said to be, for their faces had some masculine traits. Voyages of Columbus 218. So he was like, nah, they're ugly.
He said, I don't know what
he
you
was like,
see,
they're
man.
ugly. There were other cases, too, like when he got back that they were, like, captured mermaids and sirens, and whenever scientists got to look at it, they were just dugongs.
You just got a fat manatee.
You just got to, yes, essentially. So as much as I would like to believe that sirens and mermaids are their own organisms, it seems to not be the case. Big sad.
Big sad.
Big sad.
That would have been cool.
That would have been really cool. It would have been really cool.
Maybe they still do exist. They just don't want to be found.
Maybe in an alternate universe or something. We can only hope.
All right, my last question and the last question of the day. How many hearts does an octopus have?
Ooh.
Chicken, what's your guess if you don't already know?
4.
Okay, good guess. An octopus has 3 distinct hearts.
I was close.
To receive deoxygenated blood from the body and pump them over the gills to receive oxygen, and 1 systemic heart, which takes the now oxygenated blood, pressurizes it, and sends it out to the body. So one reason octopi have evolved 3 hearts is because they have blue blood, not red blood. That basically means that instead of hemoglobin, which is the proteins that we have along with most mammals, hemoglobin is an iron-based protein. Octopus possess hemocyanin, which is a copper-based protein, and that's why it has that blue tinge.
Cool.
Hemoglobin in our blood is really efficient at binding to oxygen, so we have a really efficient oxygen transfer system. Hemocyanin is not very efficient, and therefore you need more hearts to efficiently oxygenate the blood. Another reason they need to have so many hearts is because they have a really active lifestyle. They're jetting around, they're chasing after things, they're squeezing in large holes, or they're doing puzzles.
Ooh, yeah, I've heard of them doing some crazy puzzles or
unscrewing a jar.
To get to prey or get to their treat. And they've seen videos of them like squeezing through holes on a boat to get out of it.
So obviously they need a lot of oxygen for these activities. And the 1 single systemic heart can tire out rather quickly because it's got the job of pulsating all the oxygenated blood to the body. So instead of undulating all of their tentacles like you would see them pulsating through the water, their main mode of locomotion or movement is by using jets. So they suck in water through their siphon and they pressurize them out of their jet to move them forward. And that kind of gives the heart a break because you don't need as much oxygen to move your entire body, but rather just to pulsate that water.
Yeah, that's nice that they're able to have that option of just being able to get away easily with jet propulsion instead of having to use all of their arms.
All those limbs. The last reason an octopus needs 3 hearts is that they actually have 9 brains.
What?
Yeah, they have a brain in each of their 8 tentacles, as well as a centralized one.
I bet they're real smart asses.
Oh, you know they are. So each arm has its own brain, and it allows it to move independently. So you can have like 8 things going on at once.
That would be awesome.
Nothing would be interrupted.
I mean, it makes sense that they have so many brains to control all of the, all of the tentacles and arms.
Brains require a lot of oxygen to function, and if your blood is already poor in oxygen, you gotta have a pretty good heart to keep up with it. So they have 3. 3 hearts, 9 brains.
I feel like I vaguely remember the 3. But again,
I remember learning that.
I just blacked out a lot of college. I learned it.
That was
and that was it. Yes, the past. The lore. Cool. As we wrap up this episode of the Freaky Fauna Files podcast, we want to extend our heartfelt gratitude to all of our listeners for joining us today on this wild journey. From the 9-brained octopus to tardigrades on the moon, we hope that you have enjoyed this Q&A session as much as we have. We would really love to hear more questions from you guys, so please, please, please send them in.
Remember, the adventure does not end here. Stay tuned for future episodes where we cover more peculiar creatures and delve deeper into the mysteries of the animal kingdom. Don't forget to follow us on social media at Freaky Fauna Files for updates, behind-the-scenes content, and discussions about all things freaky and wonderful in the world of fauna.
Until next time, keep your eyes peeled for the unexpected, and may your curiosity continue to lead you on an extraordinary journey. Thanks for listening, and stay freaky.